Afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Trafford Talk. Back with Robbie as usual. Robbie, nice to see you as always. We're doing very exciting groups today. So we've got Group E and Group F. So Group E consists of Spain, Sweden, Poland, and Slovakia, and the second group consists of Portugal, Germany, France, and Hungary, which is obviously the one we're going to spend the most time on because it's a very, very exciting group. But we'll start off with the first group. So this group consists of Spain, Sweden, Poland, and Slovakia. And I think the best place to start really is Spain, isn't it? I mean, obviously, FIFA ranking of 6 at the moment. Obviously, they've won the Euros a few times, but it's kind of, it feels like a different Spain now. All the old guard have kind of gone. When you look at the team, it's not as dazzling as it's used to be. Sergio Ramos is no longer there. Obviously, players from older times like David Villa, Xabi Alonso, Xavi, Iniesta, they're all gone. Luis Enrique is now in charge. Obviously, former Barcelona manager, and that may be why Ramos didn't go. But obviously, the interesting thing is Aymeric Laporte is actually going to be part of the Spain squad. He's switched his allegiances, his international allegiances, and he'll be part of the squad. I mean, Robbie, what are your thoughts on Spain?
Well, it's a really strange setup for Spain because obviously, as you said, all the old guys have moved on, they've retired, or just moving towards the end of their career. And you look at their team and you think it's a very up and coming team. They've got players of great class, but I don't think they'll win it this year. I think they should definitely break the group. I mean, in Spain's group, it's Sweden, Poland, and Slovakia, so they're not up against a lot. So they really should, put up a fight and top that group pretty easily. I mean, obviously we're going to move on shortly and look at the fantasy picks because I think Spain is a great place to start. That they're up against Sweden in the first day, match day 1. But I don't know who's going to start. Even in goals, like
we'll talk about that briefly. What do you think De Gea will start? Because he's been very in and out with Spain, hasn't he? And even when De Gea was at his peak, he always struggled a bit with Spain. It's a bit strange. Like we saw at the last World Cup, he had a tough time, bless him, like with the Ronaldo game. I mean, who do you think Luis Enrique will go for out of De Gea and Simon? Maybe
I'm 90% sure that he'll go with Simon because he's been with him for his last 7 or 8 games, I'm sure now. He's also, used him in the friendlies, so I can't imagine him changing it now. That'd be absolutely crazy to back him all this way and then just drop him at the last second. So I'm not surprised that Simon will start, but De Gea probably is the best keeper out there. I think he's trying to make a statement. I don't know what he's trying to do, but even in centre backs, you get Paul Torres, who's great. Like, he is a good defender, and then you've obviously got Laporte. I think that'll be the go-to. I think that'll be like the two guys in defence. I mean, a lot of people were, what if he goes with the Man City link? He goes with Eric Garcia. Obviously now he's moved to Barcelona, but last season Eric Garcia and Laporte played for the same club, obviously. So, but no, I can't imagine that happening. I think Eric Garcia could get minutes, but I don't think he'll start. Not at all.
Yeah, he
just also. Sorry, I just remembered about this. How strange is this? Marcos Llorente is starting at right back, and he's starting consistently at right back, and he's not done at all for Atletico Madrid this season. Trippier started right back, so I mean that's a strange one.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And now, as of last night, breaking news that just came in: Busquets is tested positive for COVID. So we are waiting for, confirmation, the track and trace to find out who is exactly going to be affected, by it, because Busquets is a captain, and he's probably going to be one of the best players going into the tournament.
I mean, this could be really, really severe for them. I mean, it's the problem, isn't it? I think we're so used to playing football in COVID times, we forget. But this could be a really big problem for Spain. if they have a widespread COVID outbreak, it'd be awful, but they're screwed. I don't see what they can do if let's say half their team got kind of completely struck down, and I don't think there's any allowances in place for that, because obviously it's a tournament. You've got to play the games when you play them. I mean, I guess, you know, they'd be replaced by backup players outside the team bubble. But yeah, it's really worrying for them. And hopefully Busquets recovers quickly from COVID. And hopefully it's not spread to any of the other players, because it's awful thing. But I mean, Robbie, who obviously is... We've just said half their team could be out, so it's hard to call it for fantasy football, isn't it? But I mean, who would you be looking at from Spain to put in fantasy football?
Yeah, so obviously, I mean, you look at their team; they do still have a very, very good system. You know, it clearly works. Spain and have won in the past by playing in this style. I mean, I'm just going to quickly share my screen at the moment, and I want to, you know, just look at the players who I would possibly pick. So what I'm going to do is I'm starting off with a percentage of recommended players, and you know, I can't go past Pau Torres. You know, I might pick him. My team on the right here isn't my finalised team. He's probably going to start, and he's only 4.5 million euros. Alexi, what do you think about him? Because obviously we've seen him against United in the final. I thought he had a great game, and I think this could be his breakthrough tournament for Spain too.
I suspect, actually, that he'll have a really good tournament and get a move to Real Madrid or something. I can really see that happening. Yeah. I mean, it'd be unfortunate for Ramos, wouldn't it, being replaced by Torres at international and club level. But yeah, I was really, really impressed by him in the final. I thought he was really, really good. And yeah, I completely agree. I think it's a good pick. Obviously, 4.5 million, very, very cheap as well. And yeah, he just looks like a really imperious young defender.
Yeah, I'm struggling to actually go past the 4.5 million mark for centre backs and full-backs, because you've got so many good ones, and that's why I'm thinking possibly bring these guys out. You know, there's a lot of options elsewhere. For me, Alba's just too expensive at 6 million. And Gerard Moreno, I mean, I don't even know if he's going to start, so I'd probably stay away from that. It's him or Morata. Rodri's not going to get you many points as a defensive midfield player. He's not going to get you any goals. Good player, but doesn't fit the fantasy world. Llorente, I'd stay well clear of him. He's a midfielder and he's playing right back.
God, damn it, Traore.
Yeah, David De Gea won't start. Laporte, I mean, 6 million, could get a few clean sheets, but still too expensive. You know, you could downgrade and go for Pau Torres. You know, exact same. Not going to score. And then elsewhere, I mean, I went with Unai Simon in goals at the moment. He's not got a great group. I'm trading him out for the game against Poland. That's my thought process at the moment. So I'm looking at going with Sweden and Slovakia. And he's only 5 million. So it is, you know, a good price for a keeper. What do you think, you know, about the fantasy team?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't be going for anyone like you were saying, like Morata. I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, I possibly, if I was looking at this, I think I'd go. Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous. I'd be if I was looking at a Spain striker, I'd be going for Gerard Moreno. I think he's going to start. I think he scored about 28 goals this season. I think he'd be the one I'd go for if I was going for forwards. Relatively cheap as well. Yeah. So I think that he's going in my team actually, and yeah, I think Torres as well, obviously, and yeah, I think they're really good shouts.
Do you not think you're running quite a risky game, going with someone who might not start? And it's not even with the Italy game where, you know, I can put a player like Spinazzola in and think he might start, he might not, and trade him out because the deadline is literally when the first whistle blows in the Italy game. But Alex, you need to remember, look at the date whenever they play their first game, the 14th of June. The tournament kicks off on the 11th of June. So you will not be able to make any changes with that unless you obviously want to sub one of your guys on from the bench. I mean, I've got Ferran Torres on my bench at the moment because he has been Spain's best player in recent times, and he's also kind of blown up for Man City in the past. I've got Yazici in at the moment. I think I'll make Spinazzola my captain, but obviously they're playing the first day, and I'm choosing a captain for each day. So, you know, I'll probably change that out. And if he has a bad game, I can simply just sub him off for Ferran Torres, who comes in at one of the last days of match day 1. So I think that's quite a safe option. You know, it's quite a safe bet, and I'm not too confident on him. But you know, you never know. It's football.
Yeah, and Ferran Torres scored a hat-trick Spain recently, so he's a good choice. So with that being said, very good picks there from Robbie. We'll move on to Sweden, the next team in this group. Sweden, 18th in the FIFA ranking. Best ever finish in a World Cup was a semi-final in 1992. The obvious thing before we start, Ibrahimovic is injured, which is not great, but they have really quite good players elsewhere. They've got Alexander Isak from Sociedad. We faced him this season. Looks like a pretty good young player. Forsberg from Leipzig. Very, very good creative player. Lindelof, obviously, our mate. But also, I've just got to look, so I don't want to pronounce his name wrong. Dejan Kulusevski at Juventus looks like a really, really promising young player. So, yeah, they have quite an interesting blend of kind of younger players and more experienced players, because obviously in defence, Lindelof, we don't need to talk about Lindelof because we know everything about him there is to know. But alongside him, there's Grankvist, who is going, and he's 36, and he's been there for what seems like, well, Robbie, if you think about it, he's 36. He probably started playing when he was 17. He's been in the Sweden squad your whole lifetime.
I mean, I can mind Granquist from like literally every single tournament. Sweden always make it, and you need to remember that, mate. Sweden are underdogs. You know, Sweden will always be in about the knockout round. You know, we obviously seen them against England in the World Cup. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alexei. You know, Sweden were a good team. You know, they still are a good team. That was without Zlatan as well. They do still have a lot of firepower elsewhere. So I would not rule them out by any stretch. And, you know, the players that I'm looking out for in their team is, I mean, you know, they've obviously got a very solid defence. Mikael Lustig, he's played in Scotland for years. Absolutely solid. Won, you know, I think like probably seven Scottish trophies. And then you look elsewhere. I mean, Lindelof, as you said, we spoke about him. I don't know if Grankvist will start. I mean, surely not. I thought he'd retired. I'm so surprised about that one, that he's actually still kicking. He's still going. And there's another player who's still going, who is absolutely ancient, and I can't believe he's going. And it's Seb Larsson.
No.
Yeah.
What, from Sunderland?
Yeah, yep. Seb Larsson is going to the Euros.
How old is he?
I don't actually know who it is he plays with, so just give me a second. But he's, you know, he plays for AIK in Sweden. He's 36 years old, and he's still going. He's still in midfield, and he should be on set pieces. Personally, I would not go with him on a fantasy team.
No.
If you're really struggling, maybe someone for your
2010, maybe.
I mean, you never know. You never know, because he's cheap. He's only 6 million from what I'm looking at. But I mean, I'd rather go with Forsberg, who is 7.5 million. Or, you know, I'm just going to share my screen, Alexei, just now, and we'll have a quick look at Sweden's team and who they've got. Because first glimpses, whenever I look at this, underwhelming. Quite a lot of expensive players, and no one's picking them. And they're not in a good group either. If you're going for a limitless match day 2, then I would definitely pick a lot of Sweden players. I mean, I know I am whenever they play against Slovakia. I'll probably bring in Isak, who has had a great year. in Spain for Real Sociedad. Yes, he is expensive, but
8 million,
you
though.
know, I don't want him against Spain. I don't want him against Poland, but I want him against Slovakia. So I'll bring him in for limitless match day 2 probably, and then obviously lose him and get my old squad back on match day 3. But you know, I can't imagine Slovakia doing wonders. I mean, obviously we'll move on to Slovakia, so that is one of my main reasons. Alexei, Dejan Kulusevski, you obviously spoke about him before, wonder kid, Juventus. I mean, from what I've watched, he has been getting more game time towards the end of the season, up until the Euros. I'm pretty sure he'll start. I'll be very surprised if not. I mean, I know Klaassen and Forsberg play out wide usually. However, surely he has to start. You know, he's just get a bit of flair about him.
Another one where I know he's already at Juventus, but I think this could be kind of like a, oh God, look at him now kind of tournament for him. Yeah, I think, to be honest, Robbie, I've got to be brutally honest. There's no Sweden players going in my team. I like some of their players. I like Kulusevski. I like Forsberg. But I don't think I would personally pick them, to be honest. I mean, I just don't think their team's going to do well. Like we're saying, they've got 12 players over 30 going to the tournament. I just think their team might be too old, and I don't hold out much hope for them. But obviously, 0% have picked Forsberg. That's ridiculous. Is that right? It's 0%.
Well, I think 0. It's just like under 1% more like, but
it's crazy, isn't it?
The thing is, Alexei, obviously they've got Spain in the first day, so I think a lot of people will draft these guys in for limitless match day 2, use a wild card limitless match day 2, which will obviously let them, bring a complete new squad in on match day 2, which I'm doing, and I do believe that I'll bring in some Swedish players. Obviously, I'll watch their game closely against Spain, in match day 1. However, I mean, I'm hoping that they'll show up and they'll play well. Robin Quaison, he has played very, very well for Sweden recently. I think he's almost got the same goal contributions as games in the last 10. He's one to watch. I know Alexei, you probably never heard of him, but I would definitely watch out for him. He's been scoring a lot, he's been assisting a lot, he's been getting involved. I wouldn't rule him out. He kind of clocked off, obviously, whenever Zlatan came back. However, now, the floor is his. I mean, obviously, Berg might play, so it is a bit of a risk. But, if you're drafting these guys in for match day 2, it should give you, something to work off because you've seen the match day 1 squad at the end of the day. So, Alexei, what's your views on the team overall then, just to sum it up? Because for me, yes, underwhelming, very expensive. Look at Marcus Berg's 8.5 million. Wow.
Yeah, I'm not going near them, to be honest. Like there's some players in that squad I like, but
Andreas Granqvist, what a player.
Yeah. I mean,
I think we can move on from them, Alexei. There's really not much to talk about. Your typical Scandinavian team who can, just grind out results very easily. And, I would not be surprised if they make it to the knockout round.
So we'll move on to Poland, who FIFA ranking of 21, best ever finish in a not World Cup, quarter-final 2016. Now, Poland, obvious thing with Poland is they have the best striker in the world, Lewandowski. He broke Gerd Muller's record in Germany of 40 goals in a single season. That's what he broke. I mean, these kind of numbers, if Ronaldo and Messi were doing them, we would be talking about them all day. I mean, Lewandowski is a superb player. Alongside him, they have kind of more experienced guys like Krychowiak, Gilic, younger players, kind of Zielinski and Milik. Now, I don't want to just obviously put everything in Poland down to Lewandowski, but it might sound like a very simplistic point, but I literally think them having him gives them a really, really good chance of getting out the group.
And I mean, Poland do have providers as well, because I had this argument with one of my friends. We're doing like our own personal fantasy league, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not putting Lewandowski in because it's just him. You know, it's a one-man team. He'll carry them, and simply that'll be it." And I was like, "Really though?" Because from set pieces, you've got Rybis, who's very good. You've got Zielinski, who plays for Napoli at a very high level, and he has been for a while. They get Matthias Klick, who plays for Leeds. I mean, I'd say he's arguably one of Leeds' best players because he's Polish. He's looked upon, as if he's nothing over, like, let's say, like, the other players in midfield like Calvin Phillips, who gets praised constantly. Matthias Klick's a great player, so I would not rule them out. And obviously, I mean, in defence, Bednarek played for Southampton. Southampton have been very good for, a while. Against us, he was absolutely terrible.
Bednarek.
Well, I mean, in terms of, Poland, the system they play in a 5 at the back.
He might be good for them, but I've watched him in a few games this season, and he has been absolutely appalling.
I actually don't think he's been that bad. I watched him a lot at the start of the season, and he had a very good run. And I think in this team as well, I think he could get away with it because he does have Kamil Glik next to him as well, who
more protection.
He's a good player, and obviously they've got a very good keeper in Wojciech Szczesny as well. I think they're a good team, and I do stand by that. I think they've got a good defence as well. They've got Helican defence as well. I think they usually run a 5 at the back, because Rybis, they like to get him up the park. He's one of their main creators, and then obviously they want to have their 2 up front with Milik and Lewandowski. Personally, I think, it'll be a very good group to watch. Obviously, because Spain, it depends with Spain, about COVID regulations, possibly some players might need to sit out. And then obviously, Sweden and Poland, I'd say they're pretty similar level. Very good units in defence. Obviously, I think Poland can maybe just nick it though. But, I mean, Poland have Slovakia in the first day. And I think Slovakia, they're nothing special. So I would not rule bringing Polish players into your team. And we'll quickly just have a look, as we usually do, Alexei, we'll have a look at the Polish fantasy picks, because Lewandowski obviously is very expensive. But is he worth it, Alexei? What do you think? I mean, 16% of people have picked him. And he has 11.5 million on the opening day, which is a lot of money. But, I mean, look at the 2 teams he's playing. If you're taking a limitless match day 2, so he misses the Spain game. God, that's making me think. Should I maybe bring Robert Lewandowski in? What do you think, mate?
Well, he's the best striker in the world, isn't he? So, I mean, obviously 11.5 is, for that amount, you want guaranteed goals every game. And obviously, while he is so brilliant, you don't know if he's going to get that because of the group he's in.
Yeah.
But yeah, personally, I would probably go for someone like Kane over Lewandowski, because Kane is in a team that's going to get a lot of chances created. Same with Lukaku, but I'm not going to sit here and dispute picking Lewandowski, because he's, like I said, he's the best striker in the world.
Yeah, so Alex, I'm going to put this, on your plate, and you can give me like a, a reaction to it. But for me personally, I would not go with Kane, because they got Croatia in the first day, which for me, Croatia they're always underdogs, aren't they? And they got to the World Cup final, so they are a good team. I know they're obviously an aging team, however, you can't rule them out, and they do have a good defence too. They've got Kaleta Kal, they've got Vida as well. So they do have a good defence. But you look at, Lewandowski's, who he's up against for Slovakia. I would rather go with Robert Lewandowski, because obviously Kane has Czech Republic in the last game. However, I just think he'll absolutely bang them in this group, and I think he could possibly be the top goal scorer in the tournament. Guys, obviously this is a draft, what I'm doing here. However, it's making me think, do I bring in Robert Lewandowski, because he does provide for his country just like he does at club level too. Like, so what do you think then? Do you think, I've maybe made your head turn a bit and think, would I go with him and then maybe swap the team about for match day 2, or do you think you'd still go with Kane?
I think I'd go with Kane. Just literally, I think Lewandowski is better than Kane. I'm not saying that. I think
No, I know. Yeah.
But I just see Kane will get a lot more chances than Lewandowski will, because just the creative outlet around him, regardless of who he's playing. I just think when you've got players like Grealish and Sancho, Foden, Mount, all these players creating chances for you, you're going to get goals regardless. You're going to get chances, whereas it's more difficult for Lewandowski. Obviously, like I said, I can't dispute people picking him because he's brilliant. But I personally, for that price, for 11.5, I would be looking towards a Kane or a Romelu Lukaku, where they're surrounded by world-class creators as well as being brilliant finishers, of course.
But, I mean, I'm looking at the rest of the team there. It was down the side. How cheap is their team elsewhere? I mean, compared to Sweden, their team is so expensive. And, they're similar levels. And one of the reasons why I thought, Bednarek, good price. I had him over Daniel Wass, and I managed to, kind of haggle an extra 0.5 million to bring him in. However, it's, if you've not got a lot of money to spend, Jan Bednarek will start for Poland. I think that is why 8% of people have picked him. Alex, I'm pretty sure after what you said, you'll not be picking him. However, if you're going for limitless match day 2, that is a possibility of 2 clean sheets. Slovakia in the forward positions, and Poland are a great unit in defence. So, I mean, you could maybe look at it. However, like I said, I can't imagine you doing so. Szczesny, I mean, if you don't want to go for Bednarek, and if you want to, go up the extra 0.5 million, then you could go for Szczesny, put him in goal, trade him out. You get obviously less money to spend. I think there's better options out there, like, for example, Unai Simon. Zielinski, however, I mean, look at his price, mate. And he is a creator, especially for Poland. What's your views on him? Because I'm not saying he's going to set the world alight. However, I can imagine him getting, in and about it, provide the balls for Milik and Lewandowski. So,
yeah. That was a bit of echo, Robbie.
Okay.
He's the main creator in their team. Sorry. He's the main creator in their team, so I think that obviously, especially as he's providing someone like Lewandowski, there's a good chance he's going to get a lot of assists, because obviously Lewandowski will convert chances, and Milik as well. So I think he's got a really good chance there to do that. But I think, is there any more players in Poland, or do you want to move on to
Is it an echo still, Alexi?
Yeah.
Is there? Right, okay. Maybe just mute me just now, and you can even, burn through a few of these guys.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, obviously Klich, he's pretty good player from Leeds. Obviously, I mean, 6.5 million, it's okay, but I personally don't think I'd be going for him, to be honest. And yeah, I mean, looking further down the list, it's not too enticing. Although I think they will go through. Obviously, Milik is a very, very good player, very good striker, very good finisher. Although obviously he will be second fiddle to Lewandowski, Rybus as well. Yeah, I think overall, really, I think Poland will go through, but I wouldn't be picking too many of their players, to be honest. Obviously, Glick is a very experienced defender. I mean, if I was, to be honest, that is probably the one I'd pick if I was picking Polish players, maybe a Glick, because I think they will be quite solid overall as a unit, and they'll probably get a lot of clean sheets. So he's probably the one I'd go for, just because Lewandowski is a bit too expensive for me, even though he is brilliant. But That being said, we'll move on to Slovakia. So Slovakia, FIFA ranking 36. Their best ever finish at a tournament was in 2016. Now the obvious ones when we talk about Slovakia is Skriniar from.
Is that okay?
No.
No.
Skriniar from Inter Milan. He's a really good player that United have been linked with. Dubravka, obviously from Newcastle, and yeah, it's a relatively exciting team. It's an experienced team. Obviously, Hamsik is 33. Peter Pekarik is 34. So it's an aging side. And realistically, I can't see them getting out of a group containing Spain, Sweden, and Poland. I think it's going to be very hard for them. And I think they are probably going to be the 4th place team in this group. Yeah, all good.
Is that okay?
Yeah, all good.
Sorry, guys. I'm experiencing a lot of issues, and the fact that I've lost my AirPod case. That's why I'm struggling, Alexi. So
Oh, that's a pain.
It's a pain. I need to pay for a new one.
What, have you fully lost it?
Yeah, I lost it in the train. So I know. I don't even know what people can do with an AirPod case. So I don't know why they've kept it, because they need my exact AirPods. I've got them sitting somewhere. Like, they need my exact AirPods to work inside the case. So I don't know what anyone's going to do with that.
It's just unnecessary. I think because we've done quite a lot in this group, I think we'll just, because Slovakia, I think fantasy-wise, I'm going to go with Skriniar because I think he's a really good defender. But I think
that. Alexi, we could quickly just have a few seconds on this one. I mean, they don't obviously have a lot going for them. Don't mean that in a bad way, but I'd rather, against Poland on the own opening day as well, I would not go for a defender personally. I know you obviously are, but
I mean, to be honest, he's the only one.
So I can understand why.
I
mean, there's no one else that really sticks out to me.
And we're presuming as well they're going to be 4th group as well.
8 million.
Yeah.
Wow. Apart from that, I don't think I'd touch it, to be honest.
No.
Maybe Martin Dubravka, but they do have Poland on the first day, and Robert Lewandowski will score. So I actually probably wouldn't go for him. I'd stay away from it all.
So I think, sorry, we're going to look silly if they win the group now, but I think we've not got much hope for Slovakia. Very quickly, before we move on to the next group, we'll go with our standings. I'm going to go Spain top, Poland 2nd, Sweden 3rd, and Slovakia 4th. Robbie, what are your thoughts?
What I'm going to go with is Spain top, and then I think I'll go with I think I'm going to go with Sweden 2nd, because Sweden are just always there. And I think Poland will finish best 3rd. I have tried to obviously differ and say this team in this group will not get best 3rd, but I think this team will get best 3rd. Obviously, guys, we're going to do this at the end of the week. Myself and Alexi sit down on the Euro app and do the build our tournament predictor. I'm excited to see, Alexi, what you think. And just before we move on, this is the code. I mean, I've just put it in from my own personal account. This is the code for the Fantasy League, which we are giving away a Retro United shirt. So if you obviously win, and if you're good at Fantasy League, then you should definitely join this. I mean, it's heating up. I think there's about 50 people now in the league. Alexi, I mean, I think we're going to have a bit of a personal rivalry. I'll be up against you.
Yeah.
I'm wanting to win it as well.
I might be getting some of my family members to join in our league as well. I'm going to try and get my dad involved. So
that'll be good. Yeah.
I think it's exciting, isn't it? So at the end of the week we'll do a predictor, which I'm really keen for. And we'll do more on the fantasy stuff. I mean, we might even pick also team.
Give our team right up until that point. That'll probably come out on the Friday before the Italy-Turkey game, which I'm very excited for the Euros to start. But talking about a group, talking about excitement, this is the group that I'm the most excited for, apart from Scotland's group, obviously. And it's the group of death. Like, wow.
And it's outrageous. I mean, so Group F, I mean, this could just be its own tournament, and I think we could just watch it. I mean, Germany, France, Portugal, and Hungary. Oh my God. I mean, where do you even start? This group is going to be absolutely brilliant viewing. And I think we're going to start with Germany first. Germany, 12th in the FIFA ranking, surprisingly low considering where they've been over the last few years. Obviously, they've won the Euros in 72, 1980, 1996 when it was in England, which was really great, wasn't it? And yeah, obviously they won the World Cup 7 years ago. This is Joachim Löw's last tournament. This is probably going to be some players' last tournament. I think probably maybe Cruz, Müller, Neuer, those kind of players could be off. But saying that, they have some very exciting players in this team, like Leon Goretzka, like Leroy Sané, like Gnabry, for example. It's a really, really, really good team. A caveat being, obviously, we spoke about this the other day. They lost 2-1 to North Macedonia not too long ago. They also lost 6-0 to Spain. And this is a Germany team that has been pretty bad for a few years now. I mean, Robbie, what are your thoughts on Germany? Because it sounds ridiculous me writing them off, but I don't think they're making it out as a top two. They might get in as third, but what are your thoughts on them? And we'll lead then into who are you picking from their team?
Well, firstly, I cannot wait to watch this. I mean, their opening games against France. Could you ask for anything more on match day one? France versus Germany. I think it'll be a last dance, to be honest, for most of the veterans in the team, like Hummels, as you said, Müller, Kroos. I don't think Kroos will even start, it shows the amount of depth that they have, and you can't rule them out. You cannot rule them out. Because, I think they'll go with, it'll be like Hummels and Rudiger in defence. I think Rudiger has been fantastic. And I think that was going to be one of their weak points in their team, the other centre-half role. And now that Rudiger has came, into his own, whenever he's obviously now won the Champions League, had a sensational performance against Manchester City in the final, don't rule them out. The defence is rock solid. They've got Klosman on the right. However, they've got Halstenberg probably on the left back. And I think they've always had issues like in the last few years with left backs. They can't seem to, what one of the men. It's been Plattenhardt, Halstenberg, Michael Hector. It's been such a mess at left back. So, maybe that could be one of the weak points for them. But elsewhere, wow. It's like the midfield trio probably be like Kimmich, Gundogan, Goretzka. I mean, Havertz probably, possibly.
Oh, God.
And then obviously up front, they've got, Serge Gnabry, Leroy Sané. I don't think Werner will play, but he obviously come on. Wow.
Do you know what? The fact that they've got those players, and I've just said they're going to come third, is crazy. But
I don't know how you can say that. I literally don't know what to do. I don't know how to predict this at all. Looking at the actual team itself, I think the one thing that might come back and bite them, in the future, is the fact that they don't have like an out-and-out striker. And the fact that Timo Werner is struggling so much at the moment to score, Serge Gnabry will start up front. So, a midfielder up front, possibly Kai Havertz as well. I mean,
Müller maybe. I mean, he plays more as a number 10 now, but obviously that's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I do not know. Germany will pull it out of the bag somehow. I'm sure they will. They always do. And we can just quickly, just now, I mean, I'm not going with any players from France or Germany. However, it seems as if a lot of fantasy fans are going with
23% for Kimmich, Robbie.
Sorry?
23% have picked Kimmich. It's huge.
I mean, I think if you don't know much about fantasy, you pick him because he's 6 million. He's a well-known name. However,
He's a holder,
what I would
isn't
do is I would only pick attacking midfielders and wingers for midfielders.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he might get a goal involvement. He is quite aggressive. However, I can't imagine him, being like the difference maker and getting you a lot of points. So I'd definitely steer clear of him. Neuer, I think he's too expensive for 6 million in that group. He would look at keep a clean sheet against anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, I just, I'm looking at this and I'm like, I don't want any of these guys. The one person who I was thinking, maybe put him in the team is Leon Goretzka, because for Germany he's the artist, he's the creator, and he's only 6.5 million. He gets a lot of goals and assists, a lot of contributions. He's probably the heartbeat of the team now at the moment. So it's quite, it's quite strange. Only 2% of people have picked him, and then Kimmich is well up there at the top. Is there anyone on this list?
First few games, Robbie, they've got France and Portugal, so you're completely right in saying it's so risky to pick these players, isn't it?
Yeah, and the price that they come in at, like Serge Gnabry's up at 9.5 million, Havertz at 9 million, Miller at 9 million. I'm not saying these guys won't score. I'm not saying the guys won't perform, but it's such a risk to take on match day 1. And on match day 3, yes, they do have Hungary. So you're allowed a few substitutions in and about the match day. So maybe you can make that transfer between bring a couple of them in. Depends how Hungary do, because Hungary do have the home advantage, which we'll get onto soon. But Alexi, what do you believe this team then? You don't think they'll make it? You think they'll just miss out?
Yeah. Well, they might. It's difficult to even get through as best third, isn't it? They could be out by game week. After the second game week. But obviously it's stupid to underestimate them. But I just think France and Portugal are too strong, personally. But
I actually don't know. I am scared to make this prediction at the end because they're both so good. Sorry, all three of them are just amazing teams, which I fear worldwide.
100%. And we then move on to it's just ridiculous, this group. We then move on to France, who obviously second in the world ranking. They won the Euros 1984, 2000. They're the current World Cup holders. And before we go into this, I'm just going to name some players that France have got. N'Golo Kante.
I'm going to sit back.
N'Golo Kante, Paul Pogba, Antoine Griezmann, Karim Benzema, Raphael Varane, Hugo Lloris, Koundé, Kimpembe, Dembele.
Keep them coming.
It's just
not under 21s yet. They're under 21s.
It's just honestly, they're going to win the tournament. I just don't see how they can't. If you're having a front three of Mbappe, Griezmann, and Benzema, you're winning the tournament. Robbie, is there any way they don't win this tournament? Those players. Oh, sorry, we've just got to go into this. Their midfield is Kante and Pogba. That is the best midfield in the world. If you were picking any two midfielders to partner each other, you would pick those two. If you were to pick any forward, you would probably pick Mbappe. Any number 9, pretty much Benzema, Any centre-back, you're looking probably at Varane. Even at left-back, they've got players like Theo Hernandez who've had really, really good seasons. How are they... Can anyone stop them?
Which is terrible. And I don't mean to catch you out. Their team's that good that Theo Hernandez didn't even get picked. I can understand why you thought he'd get picked.
He's not in.
Picked. He's that good. No, he's so good he didn't even get picked.
What?
They'll go with Pavard. You get left out. Well, unless he's been added in recently, but I think he's been left out. Theo Hernandez. You're making me double check. He's just sensational, yeah. In the defensive crack, that is so good. He's on holiday just now. He's not going.
You're telling me Theo Hernandez is on holiday? That's how good they are.
No, he's on holiday.
Oh my god.
I think they'll win as well. It's so I can't wait, mate. I cannot wait for that group. the thing is, we need to wait till the last day to watch that group of the match day. It's so frustrating. However, I mean, you look at their team. Do you think Benzema will start? I mean, we can look at it obviously through the fantasy terms, but wow, it's crazy they've managed to loft in Benzema, you know, for the tournament.
It's unfair, really. I'd say.
Yeah, it's not fair. I mean, I wish there was something in place where it couldn't happen, but anyway.
Oh God, look at it! It's it's ridiculous.
I mean, personally, Kante, everyone's like, oh, 5.5 million for Kante. Kante will not get a point.
No, exactly.
He won't get a point because he won't score. He won't assist. Or watching the game will be the best player. However, he won't get your points in fantasy league. So,
exactly.
If I could give a tip, I mean, Alex, you could possibly do a video like this. If I could give a tip for you to avoid someone, it'd be a player like N'Golo Kante, Kimmich, Rodri, Sergio Busquets. Players who are just fascinating for their national team. You know, the way they play, I mean, short passes, ball retention, ball winners. They don't get any points on fantasy league. So I would definitely stay away from these guys. Kylian Mbappe, I would not touch him in the group stage. He always seems to turn up in the knockout range and just becomes Mr. Clutch. You know, and it's one of those, you watch it and you're like, wow. 34% of people have picked him. Personally, I would rather go with the safer options of these guys who will also provide in an easier group. Like, look, I mean, you've got Lukaku, who is up against Russia in match day 1 and Finland in match day 3. And then Mbappe is up against Germany and Portugal. So I would definitely stay away from these guys if you're doing limitless match day 2. Because you don't want them for match day 1 and match day 3, the guys that they're up against. I mean, I think it depends how Hungary get on, because, you know, I don't want to give too much away about Hungary. But if they are the whipping boys in the group, then whoever's playing them, I'll get 3 guys from their team in against Hungary.
I hope no one's bought any Hungary defenders for their fantasy team.
No, I doubt that. I highly doubt there will be any Hungary players on the team. I mean, Alexei, who stands out here for you? I mean, I think I'll go on most of them in the knockout round. However, in the group stage, I think I'll stay well clear of them.
Asking me who stands out, I mean, it's all of them. All of them would get into every single team worldwide.
Look, because that's Lucas. It's only Lucas Hernandez.
Wait, so they took the... Oh, yeah, because there's 2 of them, isn't there? Because one of them plays for Milan and one of them plays for Atletico, don't
they? Bayern. So
Bayern,
Lucas plays for Bayern.
So they're so good.
Picked, but Luka didn't get picked. I don't know. I think that was a bit of a mistake made on their part.
Yeah.
I mean, who stands out to you, Alexei, here?
God.
Fantasy terms. Anyone?
Fantasy wise. To be fair, I don't want to be obvious, but no. Do you know what? No, I'm going to go not obvious, and I'm going to say Pavard, because I think he's quite good going forward, and he's a good creator, and he's quite cheap. And I think if Benzema plays, he'll be getting a lot of crosses into Benzema. If Giroud plays, he'll be getting crosses into Giroud. Obviously, Paul Pogba as well. Although I don't know how many points he would get. Paul Pogba, he is obviously a creative midfielder, but I think
he's quite deep though for France, I suppose.
I think he'll get the pass before the assist, if you know what I mean.
Alexia, I think, you know, the format that I'm doing, I'm going with a limitless match day 2.
Yeah, you put him in for that. Yeah.
You know, you probably put those guys in. You probably put Mbappe, Benzema, whoever. Maybe Benzema. I mean, it's 2 million saved. I think that's a good shout, doing that possibly. But for match day 1, nah, I'm not rolling with that. I think it's too risky against Germany. And then the way I run it, you know, it'll be against Portugal as well.
Yeah,
that's suicide. That's absolutely suicide doing that. So I think we can move on. I think we discussed him long enough.
Well, so moving on from France to this group is stupid. Portugal are FIFA ranking 5th in the world. They're the current holders of the Euros back in 2016, obviously. Oh my God. So Bruno Fernandes, Cristiano Ronaldo, Bernardo Silva, Jota, Neves. I mean, Ruben Diaz, Cancelo. Oh, what? It's outrageous. Their team is outrageous. They've got a very kind of conservative manager, though. But I think that's going to work well for them. I really think that, especially as they won it last time, not being that good, they've got a really, really good chance. I mean, they've got probably the best centre-back in Europe this season in defence. They've got the best midfielder in Europe in Bruno in midfield. And, I mean, they have the greatest footballer of all time in attack. I mean, Robbie, what are your thoughts on Portugal and on their chances in this group?
I think on paper they've got the weakest team out of 3.
Do you think?
Well, yeah. I mean, you're looking at their midfield. It'll be Daniel Pereira, João Moutinho, Renato Sanchez. It's not
Neves.
It's still not France. It's still not Germany. And I hope they go through, but I would definitely put them in the third.
Really?
Yeah. I can't. I do really like Portugal. However, I can't see them getting out.
Okay, but what about a midfield, right, of Neves, Renato Sanchez, who's been brilliant this season for Lille, and Bruno Fernandes?
I think we'll be dominated. I think what you said about their manager being very defensive, I think that will help them. However, I think they'll get dominated. And the games that they play against Germany and against France, I think they'll get dominated, and I think they'll be the weaker team out of the 3. I can imagine the other 2 going through.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I can't really say much more about it. I mean, they've obviously got class players, but so do the rest of them, you know. So it's in any other group they would go through.
The holders model. Like,
I know, but they also didn't have a very good run like throughout, and they do have a better team now. I mean, they get through the group on 3 points last time. So,
but you look at it now. You look at that list: Ruben Diaz, Cristiano Ronaldo, João Cancelo, Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva. I forgot about João Felix. They've got João Felix as well, Robbie. Like, those players are some of the best in their position in the world. Like, it's outrageous, really.
Yeah, Alexei, do I know what's different about what you said about the last teams, though? You said they are the best players in some of their positions, right? So, like, they're not the best. Whereas, see, France, they do have the best, and so do Germany.
But
apart
Germany,
apart from Ronaldo, Bruno doesn't actually. It hurts me to say this, but Bruno actually doesn't do work wonders for Portugal. He never really has done. I mean, I hope he plays a vital role, and I hope they do go through. I'd rather see them go through than Germany, probably. However, no. I think Ronaldo will will steamroll them through almost and manage to kind of grab them over the line. However,
it's not just Ronaldo anymore. They've got like João Felix and Jota as well, and Bernardo Silva. Like, they're like really good players. Like,
I know, but I think you can only start. It's like kind of like an England scenario. Like, you can only start a few of those guys because they're all very similar. They're all very like tiki taka, like, you know, quick feet. Like João Felix, Bernardo Silva, even Bruno Fernandes, you're putting him into the conversation. I think they all kind of do the same job. Obviously, Bruno gives you more output. The defensive end, especially Bernardo Silva, I don't even expect him to start. You know, where is he going to start? It's one of those things where they do still need to have a defensive midfield player in there too. Kind of need to have a box to box, you know, like Renato Sanchez. So I mean, that basically takes 2 positions away already.
one other point I've got here. So they obviously won the Euros in 2016. They did also win the Nations League as well.
Yeah.
Like they've won 2 tournaments in the last 5 years, and their team is better than when they won those tournaments, and with the same manager. Like I just think they've got like a really like and then
I do too, but I'm just saying I don't think it's as good as the other 2 teams that they're up against. I think they're just different breed. Those other teams, the production levels, the subs that they've got, it's just crazy. Like, I mean, I'm even looking at like their team on Fantasy League, and it's like they have amazing players. They've got Diaz, great player; Ronaldo, great player; Cancelo, great player; Fernandes, not as good for the national team; Jota, I've not really seen him for the national team. Pepe, we know what he can do. Silva, not really seen him for the national team either. Didn't play a vital role at all. Rafa Guerrero, he's actually very good for the national team. I think he'll be one of the best players. And you go down and you look, probably William Carvalho or Danilo will start in defensive mid. And you look at the other team's defensive mids, right? And it's what? Kante, Pogba. And our team is Germany, so that's Kimmich, Goretzka, Kroos. I don't know. That's just what I think. I just think there's better options for the other teams. They get better substitutes. But I think the one thing that will go their way is the fact they've got Hungary in the opening day.
Yeah, and that gives them an instant advantage.
And which will hopefully get them, like a boost.
They'll definitely beat Germany. Honestly, you've got to think.
I actually hope you're right, mate. I really do hope you're right.
If you look at the last few years, right? So Germany have obviously they were woeful in the World Cup. They've been woeful since the World Cup. Like, don't get me wrong, they have really fantastic players. I'm not saying that. They have brilliant players. But there's not much evidence that they can still work as a unit under Joachim Löw anymore. Whereas Portugal have won 2 tournaments in the last 5 years. They've won 2 tournaments and their team's getting better. And, they've Fernandes, Diaz, for example, 2 of the best players in the world this year in their positions. I mean, Bruno would probably get in a world 11. Cancelo wouldn't be far off. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, one of us will be wrong, or maybe we'll both be right and France will go out. I mean, I'm not going to argue France are going out, though. That is just crazy.
No.
But, so is there... as we've now established, Robbie, you are. Is there anyone you take from Portugal?
Definitely not. No, because
Really?
I mean the format that I go with, 12 million. And they're also playing on the last day, so you're not going to have your captain on the last day. You're not going to have, catastrophic times. So, like, let's say on match day 1, I've got Yazitsky or Spinazzola as my captain, right? I'm not expecting that to go too well. I'm expecting them to get points, but not go amazing. Then I think match day 2 is Austria. Who's match day 2? Do you know? No, sorry, actual day 2 of match day 1 is Romelu Lukaku. So I would then trade him out to be my captain. And if he does terrible, which I can imagine him absolutely destroying Russia, like getting a hat trick or something, then I'd move on to Depay against Ukraine.
Yeah.
And that's me still got Ferran Torres coming in the 14th. So I just think, going with someone like Ronaldo, I think you could spend your money elsewhere. Obviously, Ronaldo will get involved. However, 12 million, and then, if you're doing a limitless match day 2, and if you're bringing in, and if you need to keep him in against France, 12 million player against France, it's just a waste for me.
I do understand that, actually. It makes sense.
And he's not going to be useful in match day 1 as a captain for me. So I'm not going for any Portuguese players on match day 1. Yes, if I was changing my team completely, let's say I was using my wild card, which allows you to actually change your team and keep that team, then I'd absolutely flood it with Portuguese players because they've got Hungary on the opening day. on the opening game. Sorry, but I mean, Alex, did you disagree on any of that? Because I think they're just match day 3 against France. It's just crazy. Their team is just
No, I get why you wouldn't want to gamble on them against France, definitely. And like you said, I think makes a lot more sense. Obviously, football fan talk, you don't forget 4 third-place teams. That is very true, although it's difficult. I think it's difficult in this group to culminate enough points to be the best third-place team, if that makes sense.
I know. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe one would just completely miss out. I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, hi, Kurt.
You know what I mean? No, look at this. So it's like the midfield here, right? It is amazing. I mean, Pop. And let's say that I go and look at France. I think that's better.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go and look at Germany, which is even better. Oh.
Yeah, but we still don't know. We've not seen those Germany players play well together at all. So you could argue that. You could argue that's like an England situation.
Maybe not Gundogan. We've not seen much of Gundogan for the national team, but Kimmich, Goretzka.
But when Cruz obviously, but
you're talking that kind of like third spot, so that will be opened up to like Gundogan, Havertz possibly. I think Havertz will play further forward. Maybe even Müller. I think Müller's in as a striker on this. But yeah, it's good. The group is just stacked, and I cannot wait for it.
Yeah, it's a really crazy group. Obviously, yeah. Hungary, we'll touch on them, but we're not going to do a fantasy pick for them because there's no way anyone's picking their players, unfortunately. FIFA ranking 37th. Their best finish was 3rd in 1964. Player Willie Orban. I've not really got much to say about them. They've got a couple of Leipzig players which are pretty decent. But yeah, I don't mean to be dismissive or disrespectful to Hungary, but I just don't think there's a lot to say. I just don't think they've got a chance at all. I mean,
I think they'll have issues with the fact that Szoboszlai is injured now. He's not played a game in 2021 and he'll miss the tournament. And he's the best player. He grabbed them through against Iceland into this group of death. And, he's a national treasure. Obviously, they've got Peter Galassi in goals, who, he plays for Leipzig, great keeper, but I still just wouldn't, against those 3 teams, he'll be lucky to even make a save. How clinical some of these guys are that he's up against.
One interesting fact I've just remembered, Robbie, which supports your argument about Portugal. Hungary actually won the group in 2016 they were in with Portugal. So that will give them confidence. So I'm not completely dismissing them as a side. I think they're a very good team and they're probably better than quite a lot of other teams in the tournament. But the reality of it is whoever's in a group with France, Portugal and Germany is done. But I do suspect that Hungary will probably get something from one of the teams. And that's why they'll go out. I think whoever doesn't beat Hungary will go out of the tournament. That's what I think.
Football fan talk, obviously, thanks for getting involved, guys. You're more than welcome to join the Fantasy League, which I put the link in earlier on. We get a, retro United jersey for the winner. But what I think is, Hungary aren't pushovers. They aren't going to blow you away. However, I don't think they'll get beat 5-0, especially not whenever the games are played in Budapest as well, which is obviously they'll have a home advantage. I think they basically get full capacity crowds as well, which is absolutely madness. I can't wait to watch it on the TV. Hungary's first game. So it's one of those things where they're not pushovers. Don't rule them out to pick up a few points, but they will not go through. I can guarantee that. But yeah, I do feel a bit bad for them because let's say if they were in Spain's group, I would probably have tipped them to finish second. They're a very good unit. or at least come third. Because third is still very, worthwhile to fight for, because it could get you through.
Yeah.
Just by chance. And Zlatan is not in the Swedish squad. He's out injured, which we covered earlier on in the video. In the previous group.
Yeah, so Zlatan's out. Obviously, we've got another comment from Kurt about the Glazer meeting with the fans on video call. Obviously, Old Trafford is in need of repairs. Is Ahmed? I believe Ahmed at some point will maybe do something to discuss that.
I think Ahmed was meant to do more, about that. But basically, what myself and Alexia are doing at the moment, we're focusing on the Euros. So, you can stay tuned, turn the notifications on, follow us on YouTube and Twitter. And, obviously get the updates from there, because we're usually live. We're grinding. We're trying to get as much content out for the Euros as possible, because at the end of the day, Alexia, we're both enjoying what we're doing with the Euros, because, it's a breath of fresh air. We're obviously supporting different teams in the Euros. Alexia's supporting England, I'm supporting Scotland. So if you missed out on that, then you should definitely watch the match preview, which is up on the channel also, alongside Bits and Bobs, who's Scottish as well. So we kind of teamed up on Alexia, which wasn't fair, because Ahmed pulled out. He
didn't want to face the Scottish pressure, did he? Ahmed? He was scared.
No, definitely not.
So just to quickly finish off, Robbie. Obviously, it's been a bit of a long one, but we've had a lot to cover. So for this group, I'm gonna go France top, Portugal second, Germany third, Hungary fourth. What are your thoughts? What are you going for?
I'll go France top, Germany second, Portugal third, and Hungary fourth. See what happens. And so we can put this all into the tournament predictor at the end of the week, which we will be live for too. We'll be sharing our screens, and we'll be getting involved in that. We'll probably just do a combined one. We'll try and come to a decision together.
Yeah, I don't think my laptop could take a share screen. I think we'll do it on yours. I think it would explode. But yeah, so that will be all for today. Obviously, I hope you've all enjoyed watching this. It's been a fun video. Yeah, Welsh. Yeah, they're going to struggle a bit, aren't they? Bless them. But yeah, obviously England, Scotland, and Wales all in this tournament. One thing worth mentioning: if England win the group, we will face one of Portugal, Germany, or France, presumably, which is meaning that we'd get knocked out. So England might not make it past the last 16. England, Germany semi-final in England. I mean, it would be Euro 96 all over again, wouldn't it? And we'd probably lose on penalties again. And I can't watch a football team lose on penalties again after United, because it's awful. But, yeah, so thanks everyone for watching. Obviously, I'll just put the code for the league on the screen one more time. There it is. Feel free to join the code for the Euro 2020 website, Trafford Talk Fantasy League, myself, Robbie, Dan, Ahmed, everyone involved in the podcast, Cam, I think, all of them will get involved in this. Me and Robbie will be back in a couple of days, because we're going to do a tournament predictor. We're going to pick my team as well, or show off our teams. Yeah, until then, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. Go and check out podcast Robbie did with United Link yesterday. Really good podcast. Check out the Bits and Bobs ones. But yeah, other than that, obviously, stay safe, everyone. Only 4 days to go now till the Euros. But yeah, have a great afternoon. Cheers.